All right, I think I'm pretty sure I'm alone on this. I don't think I'm the only one, but it's close. That is my dislike of the college football playoff system. Not a playoff. That's fine. The system keeps moving further and further away from, and the more it moves away, the more I dislike it. Let me argue with you why it is that I think this is ultimately bad for you and why I dislike it. And maybe you'll find at some point you might as well. I'm not pretending, by the way, that my voice matters, nor do many of you seem to agree with me. I get it. But you have a 12-team playoff now in college football, and it's going to turn into 16 very soon. That part I agree with. It should be 16 or 18 already. It should have been 16 or 18 for a number of years, if not decades. That is fine. That's a good idea. That seems like we like playoff football. Give us more playoff football. But otherwise, I think the setup is awful, and I think it's getting worse. My general criticism of the playoff and the setup is this, okay? College football is a sport that only cares for and about big brands with the biggest money. It only cares about and caters to big brands with the biggest money. And there are not very many of them. And I would think that sooner or later, if you just keep following this thing out, when it's only going to be about big brands with the biggest money, then I would think more of you would say, well, that's no fun. It's the same teams all the time. Think of it this way. The playoff, college football playoff system picked by a committee, blah, 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 and everybody, and it's moving more towards just big brands with the biggest money. Here's the comparison. Imagine if network executives pick the NFL playoff teams. I mean, see the difference? Imagine if NFL executives, network executives, pick the playoff team. So then Detroit, Green Bay, Cincinnati, Buffalo, and Baltimore would never be in the tournament. There's no chance network executives would ever pick them. It would always be the Cowboys, the Rams, the Giants, the Bears, and the Jets, among others. What if the NFL playoffs were decided by the regular season ratings? That's what the college football system is about. That's exactly. You think that's an extreme example? I don't think it's extreme at all. That's exactly what this thing is. You don't notice it with the NFL because you get your Detroit, you get your Buffalo, and you find the game and the sport more entertaining. You want to watch more. College football is completely opposite. It is exactly what happens when network executives pick the playoff teams. And now, based on what they've decided, increasingly choosing the playoff teams. Be careful what you ask for. So the college football playoff is moving to straight seeding. Okay, that means a committee ranks the teams, and then whoever is first then gets a bye. This is pushed by the Big Ten. It's pushed by the SEC. But college football, see if you agree with this, college football is a sport run by about 10 programs, and I'm not even sure it's 10. Tell me I'm wrong. Go ahead. It's 8 or 10, and they decide everything, and nothing else and nobody else seems to matter. So here's what's reported now. College football playoff executives approved a change to how teams are seeded in the 12-team field, voting unanimously, of course, to place teams based directly on the selection committee's rankings and not by conference championships. I have a problem with that. Surely I'm not the only one that would like conference championships to mean more, but they don't. In the current structure, it's reported by Yahoo Sports, the top 4 seeds in the playoff are designated to the highest-ranked conference champions. Okay, that's the way it was. In a straight seeding format, which is where this is going, picked by a committee of dorks meeting at an airport Marriott to make these selections. Like I said, tell me this isn't the same thing as network executives picking the NFL teams in the playoffs. So now in what's called a straight seeding, teams are seeded in the same slot in which they are ranked, 1 through 12, with the top 4 seeds earning a bye into the quarterfinals. So it doesn't matter if you won your league. It doesn't necessarily, because your name is not Texas and your name is not Ohio State, if you're Boise State, then you're going to be further down. It's not going to matter. And I think unfortunately you like it that way. So what does this mean? It means winning a conference championship, to me at least, means less and less. The reward is less and less. The incentive is less and less. And I think it also moves closer to the system the two biggest leagues want. Because this is where I think this is going. And that is a committee ends up selecting all 12 or 16 teams. In other words, the pendulum keeps swinging towards more importance, more reliance on this committee, which I think is an awful way to do anything in sport. This committee ends up going to picking all of them. And that means potentially goodbye Big 12, or at best you're going to get one team in, at best. Or the ACC, if this thing keeps moving. See, what this thing really is it's code for nobody wanted to watch you anyway. That's really what the bottom line is to all this stuff. Well, nobody really wanted to watch you anyway. Most of you think that. Nobody really wanted to watch somebody try to pull off an upset anyway. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to see that. You want to see the same teams from the same leagues. You want to see the same. I don't even know why we have a 12-team tournament. You might as well just have 6 because that's all you seem to care about. And I know the argument goes like this. The argument goes, well, but Jeff, the conference champions got rolled last year. Yeah, Oregon did. They did. They got blasted. They played 6 weeks after their last game. But yes, they got rolled by Ohio State. Boise State got blasted. But the last time I checked, right? I mean, it wasn't across the board. It wasn't, I don't think, any reason to panic. And I don't think this has anything to do with last year's results. I think it has everything to do with exactly where this thing is going. And that is dictating the terms. So the same brands, the same big names are always there. Because I don't think there's enough evidence to say last year was a disaster. Because the last time I checked, Clemson is pretty close to beating, they didn't beat Texas, but it was an awfully good game in Austin. And Arizona State, laughed at in the Big 12, right? They took Texas to double overtime and were a non-call on a targeting penalty that's called 99 times out of 100 away from moving on in the playoff and knocking Texas out completely. I mean, are we to believe that Arizona State, had the targeting call been made and Arizona State goes on to win, that this wouldn't be happening this year? I don't believe that. I don't. So the conference champions are still in for now. For now. I mean, you can tell how this committee operates. It's like I said, it's as if the NFL found network executives and said, why don't you guys just go ahead and pick the teams that everybody wants to watch anyway, almost no matter what. So that's where I think we're getting. We're not there yet. I don't know that you would care. I really don't. And the mistake I think is that ultimately it's just not very entertaining. Detroit pulling off an upset, Green Bay pulling off an upset, anybody pulling off an upset is entertaining. These big brands, there is no such thing. You're just watching them because they're famous. That's where I think this committee wants it to go. So the conference champions are still going to be in, but I think it's a movement towards basically an invitational tournament, totally handpicked by this committee of dorks, and it's a system that's set up to make sure the same 12 to 14 are going to get in every single time. That's what this is really about. Hey, the networks want to see more of these Big Ten, big market teams, so make sure they're in every single season. And that's what's going to happen. See, viewers then miss the chance, right? And Arizona State, who was I think they were a double-digit underdog to Texas, and again, had a non-targeting call away from beating Texas. You don't want to see that? You don't want to see underdog programs have a shot. What should happen is get rid of this committee altogether. Get rid of it. They won't do it. Nothing I'm suggesting is going to happen. Everything I'm suggesting, we're moving further and further away. So I own that I'm all by myself on this. But that committee should go away, period, end of story. Conference champions should get in and get a bye. Don't care what your record is. Winning your league should matter. You want to keep that incentive. I think fans want it to matter. The teams are in the tournament based on an NFL-like formula that's numerically based and not somebody's opinion who used to be an assistant athletic director at Alabama or whatever, that you have to get in just like anybody else numerically. with conference winners and wild cards. That's it. Just like the NFL, because the NFL, the underdogs matter. New names make it better viewing. New names, right? New names, not the same old ones, not the same 6 or 8. New names are what keep us coming back. Not here. And I don't think, increasingly, I don't think they want new names. I really don't. They just need them to be there so the big names can have a game. I think it's a sport run by the elite. It's a sport that's just built for the elite. And now it's a playoff system that is moving closer and closer to everyone else having no chance. Not only do they not have a chance, they don't even seem to matter anymore.